Hey Pookie, it's been a minute. Let's do another quarterly reading wrap-up. I will also do a mid-year reading wrap-up, but I feel like those will be different from each other, you know? But we're gonna do a quarterly wrap-up for what I read between April, May, and June. I just want to start off by saying that I'm so proud of myself, you guys. I'm 5 ahead of my reading goal, according to Storygraph. Slay. Am I as far as I would want to be? No, but we get there. I'm at 30 books now. Between April, May, and June, I read 22 books, which is so slay. In April, I read 2 books. May, I read 9 books. And in June, I read 11 books. Thank you, audiobooks. Thank you so much. I wouldn't have done it without you. Thank you, Libby. Thank you, audiobooks. Thank you, Libro FM. And every time I post about a book that I've read, I post a review onto the bindery page. What's the bindery page? The bindery page is a site where I can post about books and blog about books, and you can come and hang out and keep updated with what I post, but also stay updated with anticipated releases, indie books I find. I post early access to YouTube videos over there. So if you could also support me as a creator, there are 2 subscription tiers, but there's also just a free follow, and I'll just be sitting and hanging out in your emails. So you should go click over there. So let's just get into it. In April, I read Their Vicious Games on audio. I borrowed that from the library, and I read Forever by Judy Blume. I already did my video about Forever by Judy Blume, you know, so you can go check that out. I really don't feel like rehashing information, but we have our main character, Catherine. She has a crush on this boy. They start dating, and then they break up. And honestly, the show did it better. The show did it 100 times better. Like, I know Judy Blume is one of, like, author darlings, but I have never read a lot of Judy Blume at all. I remember when the show was first announced, people were talking about how Forever by Judy Blume was like the first like spicy book they ever read. It had a lot of controversy and how much it talked openly about sex despite these characters being teenagers, which is like, I'm so sorry, contrary to popular belief, teenagers have sex. They do. It's not written in a way where I've read like adult spicy books. This isn't spicy. This is like, oh, they're teenagers and they don't know what they're doing. Besides reading an adult romance book and being like, they know exactly what they're doing. You know, like, I felt more like, oh, they're just exploring. They don't really know what's going on. But yeah, read it, did a video on it. You can watch it over here. I did watch the series. I was gonna do a reaction to watching the series. I had it filmed. I just haven't edited yet. If that's something you want to see or you care about now, let me know. Because they're also getting a season 2. So slay. If I do happen to post those, it will be on the bindery page in one of the other 2 tiers, not the free one. So sorry. Your girl makes $10 an hour. This economy is a hellscape. But yeah, if you want to see my thoughts on those, you can watch the Forever video. I read my first horror novel, Their Vicious Games by Joelle Wellington. I loved it. I had a great time. It was so interesting because I didn't know much about the book before going into it, other than we have a black main character and it's kind of like a thriller. And we have our black main character who's trying to regain access to an Ivy League college that she was supposed to go to. She got into a fight at school trying to defend her friend, and then the Ivy League was like, bye. So sorry, bye, you're not coming anymore, bye. So she tries to figure out a way to get back in, and she learns about this like secret society for all like the rich kids, so for a bunch of affluent people, where they can go in and like in whatever way can try to regain access to whatever money, whatever they need. Basically, it's kind of like she entered like this secret lottery, and the way she does it is she's so messy. That girl is so messy. I'm like, I was listening to it at work, and I'm sitting over here with my mouth open. I'm like, oh, every day I walked into work and I was like, oh my, are y'all hearing this shit? Like, I'm like, what? So she starts talking to one of the rich kids, and then he just like kisses her out of nowhere. Like, and then she kisses him back, and I was like, what? Hello? Then his girlfriend pops out of the bushes, and then she gets a letter in the mail that's like, yeah, you're in. You can come check out what's going on, what we got going on, and try to get your ass back into that Ivy League you wanted. I'm like, she didn't even say anything. It was that easy? Crazy. She gets accepted into the Finish. What's the Finish? It is this program where a bunch of young women compete against each other to be selected. And then they get everything their heart desires. Except, you know, y'all didn't tell me people were dying. Y'all didn't tell her that. Actually, I didn't tell her that at all. Day 1, people are dying right out the gate. I was in the arena, I was like, oh, we actually killing people. And it's YA as well. So I was like, oh, we actually killing kids. But the girls that we have there is one of the bullies from her school, the bully's lackey, the girl whose boyfriend she just made out with, another cool chick. She's pretty dope. She was my favorite character the entire time. And we have Adina. Those are the main 5 that we focus on. And then there's a bunch of other girls there that are also competing. Competing for what, you ask? It's been very vague so far. Competing for the main Remington son's hand in marriage. Yeah. It's like a fucked up Bridgerton, you know? It's like, so under the guise of, oh, if you complete the finish, then you'll get everything your heart's desire. You will be competing against these other women for the hand in marriage of a very rich son to the death to marry him, and then you'll get whatever you want, but you will become a Remington. That is absolutely insane to me, which makes it a good plot for a book. So all these girls are there, and they don't necessarily like him, except for maybe the girlfriend, because she had to grow up with these people. Like, she was bred for this, and now she has to compete against other women. That is insane. And what is it? Oh, what are the chances that the 1 year they bring it back with the heightened inclusion of murder, Adina is also brought into the fold, and she's the only black one there, which makes her the most interesting one there. She's the most exotic person here. Of course he wants her, even though everybody's being hella racist towards her the entire time. But I was very entertained while reading it. And how she's like, it's like feeling like you're in the Twilight Zone. She's the only person there that's like trying to call people out on their bullshit. It was great. It was a great read. It was a great time. At a certain point, though, I was rooting more for two other characters than I was rooting. I think I was rooting more for like her friend in the system, while also rooting for the girlfriend, because like, yeah, I'd be pissed off for you as well. Like, what is this? The entire Remington family is crazy. We're like, everybody here was just crazy. And also, like, by the end of the book, like, she does, spoiler alert, by the end of it, she lives. Throughout it, you have like our main brother that everybody's vying for, and then you have the black sheep of the family brother that doesn't accept this and blah blah blah, but he's still there because he wants to protect his younger brother. And then she falls for both of them. She did make out with both of them. No, but I had a great time reading it. It was very entertaining for my first like horror thriller mystery situation. And that was April. Then we have May. I read 9 books, 2 audiobooks, 2 digital, the rest were physical. I read Hood Feminism by Mickey Kendall, and I think like it's just like the standard. Like, if you're a white woman and you think you're a feminist, read Hood Feminism. If you're a white woman and you call yourself a feminist, read Hood Feminism and then come back to me. I feel like that's like the standard basic feminism, is just to read Hood Feminism. And I did that one on audiobook, related to a lot of it, added to my want to read nonfiction list for the year. And I read This Could Be Forever by Ebony Liddell. It was an arc. This Could Be Forever follows our 2 main characters. We have Deja, who has big plans to go to college. She wants to study chemistry because she has like this skincare plan. She's into growing plants and growing things to help with her natural all skincare plan. She's very intelligent. And then we have Raja. He's from Nepal. His traditional parents want him to just study engineering and settle down in an arranged marriage, but he loves art. He loves tattooing. He works at a tattoo shop. And Deja goes to a college tour away from her family. And while she's there, she's like, oh my gosh, I love this school. I want to commemorate it by getting a tattoo. And then she goes into a tattoo shop, and that's where she meets Raja, and it's immediate, like, love at first sight. Oh, they are so cute. And he's just apprenticing at this tattoo shop. So the person that he works for is like, oh yeah, you can give her a tattoo. Like, he's like, it clearly sees Raja freaking out. Like, it's so cute. It was so cute. Ebony Liddell killed it again. I love Deja. I love Raja. And like it's low-key giving a little bit of like a Romeo and Juliet, because they both come from these not even very different, but these different traditional families with different values. So like Raja being raised under a different religion and having different like cultural customs, and then he comes to meet Deja's family while they're dating, and Deja going to meet his family knowing that his parents like want him in an arranged marriage. Like specifically his dad wants him to like do all these things step by step, and like the fear that the other one will not approve of the other's partner, knowing that there are like similarities that they have each other culturally within that way, and how stubborn their parents are, and like learning about each other and learning about each other's cultures as they are entering this new chapter of adulthood in their life, because they're starting college. Like, this is over the summer before they start their first year of college, and they're gonna go into it dating. Like, it's a very cute read. I loved every second of it. It was adorable. Ebony Liddell killed it. I got her to sign my arc at Black Romance Book Fest. If I could give that book 1,000,000 stars, I would. It was so good. Then I read Only for the Weak by Natasha Bishop. Don't tell Natasha Bishop I had not read that book before. Don't tell her. I wanted to read it a while ago when I saw people were like hating on it. And I don't, you know what? I think we need to have a discussion between like books you hate or books where there's people in it that you're supposed to hate. Like there are definitely books that I've read where I can recognize the book is good, but because of like how characters act or how they're written and that's how they're supposed to be and I'm not supposed to like them, they did ruin my reading experience, but the book was still written well because that was what was supposed to happen. For some reason with Only for the Week, there's always this like love-hate relationship with it and I can't understand it. But with Only for the Week, we have our main character who is planning her sister's wedding. Her sister is getting married to her ex-boyfriend. And her sister, awful. Their mother, even worse. Like, the way they treat Janelle across this book is insane. But Janelle is being the best sport about it. She doesn't really care that her sister's dating her ex. Like, she's gotten over it a while ago. I don't think she really loved him that way anyway. But she's there as the maid of honor, doing all these things for her sister, bending over backwards for her sister as her sister. Every time they're just calling it her bridezilla moment. Like they're just letting the bridezilla be a bridezilla. And they're about to go on this destination wedding. And the best man for the trip, that man is a man. Okay, that man is a man. And he has been into Janelle since day one. His name is Rome. The second Rome sees Janelle again, he's like, oh yeah, this is my chance, actually. This is my time. They're trying to, like, keep it secret because, again, like, Janelle used to date Arnold, who is now marrying her sister, Amory. So they're like, well, I want to keep it hush-hush, but I do have feelings for you and I want you real bad. Period. And you know what? Yeah. Yes. But the entire trip, Emery's being the worst bridezilla to ever bridezilla. And she always is constantly making these little quips and these little nitpicks at Janelle for no fucking reason. And everybody notices it. Everybody is very aware of how Amory treats Janelle. The way she treats her sister is insane. And then when we learn about why she treats her sister the way she does, it's just like, it just comes back to like it being just rooted in jealousy. Long story short, Janelle has her life together. Janelle is very content in having her life together. She never really needed anyone or needed to lean on support for anybody, or at least that's how it looked from the outside. Like from the outside looking in, she has it all very together. Amory can't stand that, and neither can her mother. So they always try to find different ways to shut Janelle down emotionally, which is such a fucked up thing to do. And everyone, even the dad sees it and everyone calls it out. And by the time he gets to the end of the book, like she's like still being the bigger person. Although she doesn't want to talk to her mother anymore, she's still like coming out of it being the bigger person. And I think that's where people get lost and they're like, no, like I want them to like experience like a weird level of revenge. I don't think that's gonna happen. No, sometimes you don't get that. I mean, I could hear people out on their opinion of it, but I don't, because I read the book without knowing anything about it or why y'all hated it so much, and I had a good time because Rome and Janelle's relationship makes up for her. Oh, the way he dotes on that woman, the way he wanted every chance to just cuss a bitch out every time they talked bad about Janelle. I'm like, that man do not play about her. He don't play about her at all. But no, like everybody else in this book, everybody a part of at least when it comes to Amory, Arnold, and Janelle's mom, they don't have it together at all. And they're so jealous of Janelle for having her life together that they do these things to purposefully try to fuck her over. Amory being mean to her and snippy with her and like changing every part of the wedding last minute to try to piss off Janelle. And if Janelle doesn't deliver, then she's like, oh, it's because you hate me because I'm marrying your ex. And then the mom just aiding and abetting that behavior, being like, no, you need to do everything your sister says. And then you have Arnold. When that man showed up at her door drunk, like classic, like drunk baby, I want you back. I'm like, nigga, you a damn lie. You are a liar. But you know what makes up for it? Rome made that book so much better. Rome made up for it, and I don't never understand why people don't like this book. Like, it's not your cup of tea, fine. But if I see your bookshelf and I don't like what I see, skill issue. I also read Out of Office by A.H. Cunningham. I don't think I'm in love with A.H. Cunningham's writing style, but we have our main character who's into hospitality and tourism. She's over here building like tropical hotels or whatever. And then you have this man that has been her driver since she showed up on this island, driving her every day. They chat and they talk, and she's like very physically attracted to him. He's physically attracted to her. And then finally one day she decides to stop being the workaholic that she is, says, fuck it, I'm gonna go relax. And then he's like, oh, you want to relax? My family, like, we have our own little, like, not even little, we have our own, like, resort or whatever you could come stay at. Like, it's like a mom and pop type thing. She's like, okay, bet. And girl, they was getting it in. They was. But all I could think about was that episode of Girlfriends. Because y'all know in Girlfriends, when they go to Jamaica and Lynn meets this nice Jamaican man and then she brings him back to the States, that's all I could think about reading this book.
William, we know you're hurting, but you don't have to take your frustration with Yvonne out on all black women.
Oh, and this is coming from the black woman who lured an innocent island boy from the warm sands of Jamaica, where she made him live in a rat-infested garage, and she lambasted him for buying her a puppy dog for Christmas.
Because our main character does not live on this island. Genevieve has like this whole job. She's a workaholic. She is everything her mother wants her to be in terms of like work. All she do is work. Meanwhile, we have Adrian that's like, baby, take a break with me. And as their relationship starts to develop more, they're like, how are we supposed to keep this relationship if you live in this foreign country and I'm from the States? You know, like it gets a little bit complicated there. On top of that, you are dragging this man from his home to go live in Florida, away from his family and his family's business that he tries so hard to like keep up because he is essentially kind of like the man of the house in that sense, and he doesn't want to let his family down. Then we gonna bring him to the States away from his family, and what you still gonna do while he's staying at home? You still gonna sit there and work. No, it's just like the complexities in the relationship in that way. On top of like Adrian not being a workaholic because of family trauma that he experienced, like he thinks he put his work before his family, and that's why his family's like tragic accident happened the way it happened, and he blames himself, but then he goes and he gets with a workaholic. Summer was starting, so I was really in like, I want to get into like my island romance era. And, you know, we did that. I didn't like it as much as Only for the Week. Girl, I read Joelle Wellington's sophomore book, The Blonde Dies First, where we have a group of friends that are reliving Scream. And they're trying to survive Scream. Spoiler alert, they do survive Scream. But I think the way this book did like the first half of it, I was really intrigued. I was really interested. We have our twin sisters, Devin and Drew. Devin and Drew have been separated just based on like academics alone. I think Devin has felt lesser than her sister Drew. Her sister is like the more intellectual twin, goes to a better school, and they become distant, and especially Drew has become distant with their circle of friends in their hometown because she now hangs out with this more affluent crowd of kids. We have Devin and Drew have their group of friends, and they are all reenacting the different plot points that you have in a horror movie. Like a contrary to popular belief, although most of the characters are black people are not always the first to die in a horror movie, because in normal horror movies, there's not a lot of black people in there to begin with. So statistically, the most likely to die would be the blonde woman. Who's the blonde in this scenario? It's Devin, because she dyes her hair blonde, bleach blonde, constantly for some reason. But you know, we're following that cycle of like, oh, if you're in a horror movie and you have sex, somebody's going to die. You have always like, there's the mean one, you have the really smart kid that knows what's going on, you have the final girl, blah, 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 yada, yada. This all starts because they decide to go to one of Drew's friends' end of summer party. This kid pulls out a Ouija board and starts doing some weird shit, and all of her black friends get creeped the fuck out. And then the next day, there's a demon trying to chase them. On top of there being like this B plot about like gentrification, there was a lot going on. Even right now, my brain can't fully comprehend what was going on outside of like how the B plot of this like weird gentrification happening in their neighborhood plays into the A plot of how this possessed demon came about in the first place, and when like both plots aligned, like it really felt like I was watching like a fucked up Scooby-Doo. Like it didn't feel like I'm sitting here in Scream. I feel like I'm in Scooby-Doo right now when we figure out like who the villain was. But yeah, it was a lot mentally, and even right now trying to think back on it and trying to think about it, I can't. Yeah, 'twas a book. Not as good as the first one. Not as memorable for me. But Joelle Wellington is coming out with a third book. This is her third mystery horror novel, mystery horror thriller, whichever. Girls Who Play Dead. So I'm excited to get into this one. It comes out November. Next, I got back into my mafia-ish romance bag. I read King of Envy, the fifth book in the King of Sin series by Anna Huang. We have our Black MC, Ayana, and our MMC, let's just call him Vic, because I don't think I can sit here and pronounce Vuk the entire time, but we have Vic. Let's just start off by saying Vic is mute. I didn't know that at all going into this book, and I wish that was something that was talked about more. Why am I just now reading this book and finding out that Vic is mute? I'm sitting here reading, I'm just like, why isn't he talking? Why isn't he talking? And then I find out he's mute for probably prior traumatic reasons, but he's mute and nobody told me anything. That should have been like a forefront marketing point, just like, oh, we have this main character and he's mute. Should have mentioned that from the get-go. Okay, but Vuk saw Ayana first. He saw Ayana first, fell in love with Ayana first, but Ayana is marrying Vuk's best friend. Why? Money. Ayana is trapped in this very horrible modeling contract, and a way to get out of it would be to marry one of her closest friends, despite the fact that he's ace, but he needs her to marry him so he can get access to his inheritance. This all just comes back to money. It all just comes back to money. But Vuk is still here pining after Ayana. But because Vuk has such a quiet nature about him, she thinks he hates her. Classic. Oh, that's the grumpy and he obviously hates me. Look at the look on his face. And he's like, I'm trying to contain myself because I want her so bad that this is just my face now. And that's just how it is. But more throughout the book, they are spending more time together and they get closer together, and then she realizes he has feelings for her, but they can't do anything about it because publicly she is going to be married to his friend. And honestly, I wanted more. I did want more. I wanted more yearning, more pining, more of them together yearning and pining, but they can't be together. They can't be together because, again, she's engaged to somebody else. And they never really talked before. So trying to get them like together on their own accord was a hard ask of me as a reader, because there's also this side B plot that I right now can't even remember. But that's mainly Vuk's concern, is how there's someone out there trying to mess with his business, while also there's somebody out there like constantly attacking Ayana. But you know who's not doing anything about it? Her own fiance. Who will do something about it? Vuk, which then she calls him every time something goes wrong. He's that her, hey, that's the only time where we're gonna get them together, and then he has to go back and handle his business because, again, somebody's messing with his business, and his business, money, marriage. I honestly did not care about the B plot. The B plot did seem like it took over more than the actual A plot of them wanting to be a couple but not being allowed to be a couple. So it could have been better. But you know what was better? Sinful King by Asia Monique. We are back in the Mafia Misfits bag. My baby's my angel. We are following Sean and Blair, who have known each other their entire life. Blair, whose father, whose family, awful people. When Blair was young, she was assaulted by family at a young age. And at a young age, she also meets the O'Sullivans, mainly Sean. And her and Sean form this very forbidden romance when they were young. Like, they are each other's person, and they've been each other's person for so long. But Blair is on a mission to basically take down her family that's done her wrong. And she might have done some unsavory things that her newfound family don't necessarily like, but she can't really tell them, but they love her anyway. So she does these unsavory things, and Sean finds out, and, you know, they get a little bit in a tizzy about it, but, like, they love her. Like, the O'Sullivans love Blair down. They will do anything for her. They will burn the world for her. They're like, that is she's ours. Sean and Blair's relationship, they were young, like, I love me a friends to lovers. They've been friends to lovers for like the past 15 years of their lives. And now, of course, like all of these mafia romance books, it's time for them to get married. And they're so cute. I say that about a mafia romance. But yeah. So most of this book is about them coming together, her earning her ranks in this mafia family while also taking down her abusive family that she's left. And I loved every second of it. Asia Monique killed it again. And also, for some reason, I skipped over a book while in the Mafia Misfit series. So I also have Wyatt. Wyatt happens before the 7th book in Mafia Misfits. And it's kind of like a separate, like, side story. So we have Wyatt and we have Analia. And Wyatt is now the leader of his family, the Barlow family, and he's trying to make, like, their family name stronger. He forms an alliance with the Callahan family. Now, the elders in the Callahan and Barlow family hate each other. And there's this whole convoluted reason as to why they hate each other. And reading throughout it to understand what it was very entertaining. We have Wyatt is set to marry Analia Callahan, who is deaf. Analia Callahan is deaf. Most of the book is her signing or using sign language, which, what a coinky dink, Wyatt's mother was also deaf and also uses sign language. Sometimes Analia chooses to speak, but most of the time she will speak through signing. Those two come together and form their alliance, while also untying why their families are enemies in the first place, which was crazy. Long story short, someone's mom was being a little hussy and was sleeping around a little bit. And besides the point, I had a great time. It was amazing. I think I liked Wyatt a lot more than I liked Sinful King by Asia Monique, but great time anyway. I also read Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan. Hendrix, Our Childless by Choice queen, with her lavish lifestyle, working with famous people and working in television. Oh, the dream. But she's also caring for her mother who has dementia. Yes, she's also caring for her mother who has dementia. She's the only person other than her mother's sister that is there to care for her elderly mother who has dementia. And then we meet Maverick Bell, tech mogul, very, very rich. And he's stuck in a little problem because he is really into Hendrix, but oh, what poor timing. He has to like kind of keep up this front with his girlfriend who is like about to be his ex-girlfriend, and somehow Hendrix is this forbidden fruit for him. Why? Well, it comes back to work. It leads back to work. Hendrix is working with Maverick Bell's ex-girlfriend, trying to put on a TV show for their client. But if his ex-girlfriend, his new, very fresh, publicly, and I say publicly because I mean publicly fresh ex-girlfriend, if she finds out that Maverick and Hendrix are cheating, that could do really bad for Hendrix's business because this woman is a nightmare. Reading about the ex-girlfriend, oh, she's the worst. She's the worst. And you know what? It's a very sensitive and touchy subject, but it comes back to this idea that this happens all the time. You have people who get into a serious relationship. One of them doesn't want a child. The other one does want a child. And then for some reason you think that, well, maybe if I stay with them longer, they will give me a child. And I'm recently watching Scandal where they did the same thing. It's like, to placate my partner, I will give them a baby. No. Actually, I'm very against thinking that bringing another human being into the mix solves a problem. Like, have you seen the world? Look outside. Look outside right now. And for your own self, it is selfish. I think that's selfish. A selfish reason to bring a child into this world just because you feel like you need to have one, despite you knowing that your partner doesn't want one. That's bad for the kid. Like, what kind of kid wants to come into the world knowing that one of their parents doesn't want them at all? Like, why would you do that? And this is with intent. This is like planned intent. Like, we talked prior, I don't want kids. We're still talking, I still don't want kids. You still want a baby from me. That's insane to me. Mind you, Maverick already has a kid. He already had an accidental pregnancy before when he was really young. He's lived the parent life. He doesn't really want to do it again. And then he meets this woman with goals and ambitions, and she is driven, and they get each other, and she also doesn't want kids. And he's like, absolutely yes to you. Meanwhile, you have the ex-girlfriend that's sitting there like, how dare he not give me a baby? There was a debate of whether Hendrix is wrong for getting with Maverick. And I'm like, when you look at the circumstances, Maverick and this woman broke up a long time before they ever went public about it. She has a vendetta because she didn't get her baby. And her and Hendrix aren't really friends. So Hendrix didn't need to really tell her anything. I wouldn't have told her anything. That's none of her fucking business. I had a great time though reading it. I think the ex-girlfriend sucks. Maverick and Hendrix are gonna have a very beautiful long rest of their lives together. And Kennedy Ryan killed it. I think if we're ranking, and if I'm ranking the books in that series, it would be Hendrix first, and then Soldad, and lastly would be Yasmin's book, because I'm so sorry, I hate Josiah. And hot take, I hate Josiah more than I hate Vashti, because Vashti was at work. Vashti didn't do anything wrong. Josiah decided to sign divorce papers after his wife lost their child. There was a human growing inside her stomach. It's no longer there. She's going through some serious postpartum shit right now after losing a kid. And he says, well, we're gonna separate. And while we're separated, I'm gonna go date one of our employees and let her all up in my ex's house with our children. I wish he never got back together with Josiah, honestly. Like, I would, no. The amount of disrespect, yeah, it makes me angry just thinking about it again. We're moving on, okay? We're moving on. Let's go to June. In June, I read 11 books, a lot of them audio. How many audiobooks did I read? I listened to 9 audiobooks in June. That's crazy. Oh, that's crazy. So I think this starts off June. I, knocking off my thriller horror mystery TBR, read You're Not Supposed to Die Tonight by Kaylin Barron. It was alright. It was okay. We have a bunch of kids that work at this Scream-themed, like, summer camp where people go there to get scared. You have a bunch of teen actors that are there to get scared, except what they don't know is that this place is ran by a weird cult that kills children and dump them in the lake to gain some type of power at night. And they start to notice once their coworkers start going missing. And yeah, so that book was weird. Again, it was coming back to a Blonde Eyes First, where we're following the themes of a horror movie, which again, I don't like horror. I don't watch horror movies. I do not care. As someone who studied film for a time in college, I don't care. I do not care about the formula of a horror movie. I love Caitlin Barron. I loved Cinderella is Dead. I'm going to read Sleep Like Death. Was it the second one? The Snow White one? Yeah, this one was chill book. But next book I read The Dating Countdown by N.G. Peltier. This one was on pause for a while. It's from her Island Bites series, but we have Remy and Maxine. Maxine is the third king sister who is just now coming into her newfound sexuality as an adult. She has a daughter with another man, but she is realizing that she's also attracted to women, as she one time had a hookup with one of her school rivals, Remy. And now that they're adults, Remy's like, you know what, we could pick right up where we left off. But Maxine is still not sure about her sexuality, so she puts down these rules that are like, oh, we can't hook up. That whole like, oh, we can't hook up for however many days while we're dating, and if we do, then the clock starts back over bullshit, you know. But they keep hooking up. Like, you keep hooking up with her, she keep hooking up with you, whoever's insinuating, it doesn't matter, y'all still gonna hook up. And I did put it on pause because, like, I understand, like, it takes people a while to accept themselves despite everything that they've gone through and everything they've known, and try to accept this newfound identity that they're taking on and try to navigate that. I was getting a little bit sick and tired halfway through, so then I did put it on pause for a little bit, but we're back. But we put it back. I finished it. Read Through the Storm by Beverly Jenkins. This is my first ever historical romance. Yay. Of course, I'm going to start with the Queen Beverly Jenkins, because why not? I got her to sign this book while I was reading it on the plane over to Black Romance Book Fest, and she signed my copy. So then I bought so many more. I bought more copies of her books. These are all the ones that I could find, because we all know there are certain covers that are discontinued. HarperCollins, When I Find You. But no, I read Through the Storm by Beverly Jenkins, and while I was reading, I was like, you know what? I want to read these in a certain order. And then I did find a certain order. I found like how to read them in order of when they take place, like the year they take place. So that's how I'm going to read the rest of these books from now on. We follow Sable, who is a slave on the run, who was the descendants of like royalty, and she runs from her slave owners and falls in love with a Union officer named Raymond. And they get off to a great start. Like, she's like really playing hard to get with him, and he really want her. And then something happens at one of their, I'm gonna call it like a safe house type of base. Something happens where she does have to run, and in the process of running, she did kind of do him wrong. She did do him dirty. She like kind of stole from him. Like, it was in the heat of the moment, and she did run, and she ran. And then like years later, they are brought back together by fate. But in this term, it's in a sense of an arranged marriage. His family set aside funds for any of him or his brothers to collect once they get married. And so he tells his mom, he's like, hey, I know I'm kind of like a player or whatever, but the heartbreak that Sable caused him the first time they met did so much to him that he's so angry at her. He thinks all these bad things about her. She stole from him and ran. Oh, she must be like a spy for like blah blah blah. Like, she's thinking all these bad things about her and how she broke his heart. Little does he know that Sable has been like hanging out with his mom, and she really likes Sable, but she doesn't know that Sable and Raymond had a past relationship. So Raymond comes up to his mom and he's like, listen, like, I know like we're having like a hard time and we're having money problems, so I'm gonna help us out and I'm just gonna get married. Fuck it, rip the band-aid off. You pick my spouse. I don't care. I just need to get this done on paper so we can get our money. And she's like, I have the perfect choice for you. It's just like a lot of it is just learning how to trust again. For him being a player, learning how to come back and trust Sable after thinking all these bad things about her. When we first meet Sable, she is a slave on the run, because after she learns that she's a descendant of royalty and the people that she's on her plantation with, her aunt does not want her to like keep living this life. She's like, I will make the ultimate sacrifice, and she like kills like the head slave slave owner of this house, and Sable just runs. So then people from that plantation start to follow her, and they're telling people like, oh, she killed him, she killed that man. And like Raymond doesn't know what to believe. All he knows is that I'm really into Sable, so I don't care what the fuck you got to say. So he just has to like kind of get over it for love and trust her because he loves her. And like every other part of her actions doesn't paint her out to be this villain that he's trying to imagine in his head, obviously, but he's still going to, but he's gonna put all that aside because he's in love with this woman. And you know what? Yeah. No, for my first one, like because of that aspect of him trying to like force himself to trust her again, despite us, the audience, knowing that she didn't do anything wrong. It was a little bit of a struggle for me. But you know what? I had a great time regardless. So next book I read on audio was Teacher of the Year. And as cute as this book was, I think I have to remove the word adorable from my vocabulary. Because of course this book was adorable. Everybody's adorable in this book. You're so adorable. Adorable. Was it adorable or was it cute? I can't remember. All I know is that it was said a lot and I got annoyed. So we follow Marvin Block, a kindergarten teacher, who gets a new student in his class halfway through the school year. And this new student's adorable, but her daddy is hot. Her daddy's name is Olin and he's hot as hell. And all the other teachers know Olin is hot. They're like, oh my gosh, that dad is hot as fuck. Newly found single dad, just divorced his wife, moved to this new town and dropped his daughter off at the school. They're like, oh my gosh, that man is attractive. And then we have Marvin that's also like, oh my gosh, he's so attractive. I have to see him all the time now. Oh my gosh. And I mean, Marvin and Olin are always talking, always communicating with each other, always talking about. And as their communications start to drift more outside of, I don't know, this child, Marvin discovers that Olin is very attracted to him, which then starts this potential of a romantic relationship between these two, despite the fact that Marvin is teaching Olin's daughter, and Marvin is also in scopes of becoming Teacher of the Year, so he's put under a lot of pressure at work, trying to prioritize his work while also prioritizing this newfound relationship with Olin. Olin, who has never been in a relationship with a man before. Olin is just now discovering that he is attracted to men. Olin was very work-centered, very workaholic man. He married a girl that he went to high school with, and they had a child together, and then their love, if you can even call it that, for each other fell out, but they still remained friends and they worked together all the time until the point where they forced Olin to leave his job because it was no part of this was being healthy for him. So he sells his company, he moves out here, trying to live a better life for him and his daughter, and he falls in love with Marvin. And it could have been just set on, oh, it could be complicated of me being in a relationship with a parent, but it's not, because Olin has something about his past. Olin had a drinking problem, and he's very good at ignoring his drinking problem and going to his meetings, until one day he did have like a little bit of a relapse by having one drink. Olin is very analytical. He's very type A. This news about Olin's alcoholism sparked something in Marvin because Marvin grew up with a mother who was an alcoholic. So a lot of that trauma floods back, and he thinks, and Marvin's thinking, will that trauma bubble up again if I get into a relationship with a man who also has a drinking problem? Like, you see, like, there's a lot of unresolved trauma that is getting in between Olin and Marvin's relationship. But you know what? Sometimes you just gotta suck it up and you gotta go through it. And you have to go through those fears for love, damn it. And that's what they do. And I thought it was adorable. It's a very adorable read. And I think the second book in this series, is this a series? Is this gonna be the second book in the series? The art looks the same. It's called Husband of the Year. Is coming out, I think, later this year. I guess it's gonna be, I hope it takes place from Olin's perspective because of the past that he had with the ex-wife and how he was never really a husband to his ex-wife. So now he's getting to be a husband to Marvin, maybe. Hopefully we switch perspectives, because I think that was one thing about this book that I didn't love, is that we stay in one POV the entire time. I would have loved to see what Olin was thinking. Next books I read all of The Summer I Turned Pretty series. I don't really want to talk about it other than I hate teenagers. I hate love triangles. I know most about what this book was about because of the show, and now I know everything, and Jenny Han, you're a good writer. I hated everybody. I hated all three of them, and Steven, and Taylor. I'll put a video out about I did a reading vlog. I'll show you guys that one. It was a time. 2 nonfiction books that I read. I read My Body by Emily Ratajkowski. You know who I'm talking about. This model. I'm not really into supermodels like that, other than like if they're black. Like I'm like, oh, Naomi Campbell, Anouk, Tyra. I can recognize faces, and I only know Emily because she was on episodes of iCarly. But I did read My Body. We have this book at work, so I guess I picked it up because I recognized the name and I had it at my job. So I was like, you know what? I might as well like add that to my reading list, knock off another nonfiction book. And obviously, I think we all recognize like the issues in the world of modeling when it comes to the exploitation and the dehumanization of models, the body shaming that comes with being a model, the unrealistic expectations that they can put on society towards women, which is like, it's not their fault. That's just what their body looks like. And how her body was treated and talked about by her own mother, by people who work in the industry. And there's like aspects of her life where I'm like, I didn't even know that happened. I did not know that somebody went out there and like took the nude photos that they took of you and just like made a book on it. Like, that's so disgusting. Like, because like you told that person like that's not what these photos are for, and you know that's not what these photos are for, but they still did it anyway to just like exploit you and your body. The aspects of it that talked about her in the Robin Thicke music video, where I didn't hear when I was a kid when that video came out, okay? Like, I know the song Blurred Lines, but I mainly heard about the issues with the song being about the context of the lyrics and how it's basically like about like, oh, let's blur these lines, like we're all like, it doesn't matter, like sex is blah blah blah. Not mainly based on like, how could you have these women parading around shirtless in the back of the video? Like, I was a kid, I didn't care about that. It was mainly about like how the song is like very suggestive of like you know, but different perspective. She was the one in the video. But it's a series of essays talking about the culture around fetishizing women's bodies and obsession with women's bodies and their sexuality and things of that nature from the perspective of a model. Now, if we want to talk about black women, that's a different book that should be written by a different person. When you tell me one like that, let me know. I also, on audiobook, read Dear Black Girls, How to Be True to You by Asia Wilson. Love me some Asia Wilson. Face at a WNBA. Like, very like, what's it like growing up being an awkward black girl? And how we take that to understand the meaning of being a black woman. Meant to uplift. It was a great time. I also finally, don't yell at me, finally read Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas. Don't yell at me, okay? I've read The Sunbearer Trials by Aiden Thomas. I just never read Cemetery Boys. Getting into this book, from what I've heard about it, I thought it was really going to be like, oh, he fell in love with the ghost boy, but you can't fall in love with the ghost boy because he's a ghost boy. Be like, we have a trans main character who falls in love with the ghost boy, except you can't fall in love with the ghost boy. He's a ghost boy. So we have Yadriel, who wants to be a brujo, but because he's trans, they don't think he'll be accepted as a brujo, so his family just kind of like casts him to the side a little bit, but he's like, fuck y'all, I'm gonna be a brujo anyway, I'm gonna go through the ritual, and then he becomes a brujo, and at the same time this happens, his family member goes missing. Like, they felt his family member die, but no one can find where his family member is. So his whole family bands together, and they're like, we're gonna go find him. He's like, oh my gosh, I can help, and they're like, no, you can't, outcast. You sit off to the side. And Yadriel's like, absolutely fucking not. So him and Maritza go on to go find out where their family member went and try to solve this case. Where the hell did Miguel go? And in an attempt of doing that, he accidentally summons a ghost of one of his classmates. And while trying to solve Miguel's murder, we also have to try to solve his classmate's murder, Julian. And I felt like while reading it, we did sidetrack away from solving any type of murders to just like discussing like Julian's relationships with other people and really unpacking the isolation that people feel when they are outcast. Like, Julian's considered an outcast. Yadriel is considered an outcast from his family. There's also another character in this book that's considered an outcast by the family, and it's really just like letting you know, like, hey, you are not an outcast. You're actually very important and people love you very much and you don't deserve to be alone. I feel like that's like a big heavy message and theme in this is like, no, like, you don't deserve to be, everyone deserves friendship. You all deserve love. You're not outcast. You are very important in people's lives. You know what? For Julian being a ghost, he seemed very chill about it the entire time. He's like, don't worry, I'm ready to go. He's like, hey, can you help me find out who did it though? Yeah, he's like, fine, I'll stick here around and help you find out who did it. But like, he's so worried about other things that have nothing to do with his murder. He's like so chill. He's like the most chill. Because if I died and you told me I was a ghost, I'd be fucking panicking. I'd be like, already? What do you mean? But because the environment that he grew up in and how he's treated and how he talks about like, oh, I didn't think I'd live that long anyway. So he's kind of like chill about it, which is kind of sad. It's kind of sad. But I did feel like we sidetrack away from like, hey, your family member's dead to just like, oh, you're in love with the ghost boy now, aren't you? Yeah. Yeah, of course you're in love with the ghost boy now. But it still was a great time. Great read. And of course you probably already read Cemetery Boys. So if I tell you everybody lives and everybody's happy at the end, you're not gonna be shocked, except if you haven't read it. And if you haven't, you should go read it and you should go find out how everybody gets to live and how they're happy. Because I'm not spoiling that for you. But yes, oh my gosh, yes, I took that off my what is it, pile of shame? It's off my pile of shame. You know what else I took off my pile of shame? 7 Days in June. Don't yell at me. I read it, didn't I? Most of 7 Days in June, I don't know. All I knew is that like, oh, we have 2 writers who fall in love. I didn't know that it was, oh, we have 2 writers who fall in love, but they have been writing about each other for years. We have Eva and Shane who grew up in very toxic circumstances, and now it's like second chance romance. They reunite together because they're both very successful writers. Shane is this very like standoffish, like successful award-winning writer. He's kind of like, what's that word I'm looking for? Recluse. He's kind of like a recluse, like he's just like mysterious in that way. And then you have Eva, who's a single mom who's been writing erotica novels. Like, of course I read these books in June because I'm a mood reader. And so they meet again at a literary event and everybody in the room's like, what happened between these two? What happened here? And they start noticing things like, oh, Shane has this tattoo on his arm, has this marking on his arm, similar to a character in Eva's book that has this marking on his arm. And oh, a lot of Shane's books are written about like this girl who like grew up in like a very hard time, but it's basically just Eva's life. Like they just been sitting here just like madly in love, writing about each other from each other's perspectives for all these years. And of course they finally meet up again. Shane's like, okay, well, I'm not letting you go this time. Fucking deal with it. But Eva's standoffish by it because of the past and how they were separated, and her thinking that Shane's just gonna up and disappear again because that's exactly what he did when they were younger, and just a lot of unpacked trauma there. But no, like, y'all, I get the hype. Yes, Tia Williams is a writing genius, so son, I get it. I get the hype, I get it. Okay? I understand. Don't yell at me. Whether I'll read Audrey and Bash next, I don't... No, but I did love reading the tension between Eva and Shane. I love their tension. I love their chemistry in this book. It was a great read. I'll also do a mid-year reading wrap up. But this was a great time. We are now at 30 out of 50 books read, 60% through my reading goal. And yeah, I haven't filmed a video in a minute, so if I don't know what to do or what I'm saying or if I'm not making sense, sorry. My brain's been all over the place. The world's on fire. I apologize. But yeah, that was my reading wrap up. If you've read any of the books that I talked about, what did you think? If you haven't read any of the books that I talked about, which ones would you read? If you want to see book reviews, posts about anticipated book releases, indie book finds, early access to videos, some of my writing content, it will all be found on the bindery page. What's the bindery page? The bindery page is a website where I can blog and post and stay updated about things happening in the book space. But also, if you subscribe to my bindery page, you can either support me as a creator or subscribe for free, and I'll just be hanging out in your inbox. And the more people we can get over there, the closer I could be to publishing a book. What? Crazy. A lot of my friends and my mutuals have also had publishing imprints over on the bindery page. They're out there publishing books left and right. So come over, hang out. It's a great fun time. And if you can support me as a creator, I could appreciate it. Your girl makes $10 an hour. It's hard out here for a bitch. Okay. Find me on Instagram, Blue Sky, I guess, TikTok. Subscribe, like, comment. I'll see you guys later. Bye.